Good morning. It is Wednesday, November 12th. I am going to tell you the Black Friday sales are live. They are live for Seeking Alpha. Okay. The bundle, huge savings, $224 in savings. If you don't want the bundle, you can get Pro, which includes the Pro Quant portfolio. That one's marked down to under $2,000. But the reality is, I think this bundle is perfectly fine for most people. This is the sweet spot. Again, $574. It's the sweet spot. If you don't want that, get Seeking Alpha by itself. It's under, you doubled your savings from yesterday. It is under $400. And again, I make $400 most times by just buying the damn Alpha pick on the day that it went. Or if you just want premium, you can get premium 20% and get a free 7-day trial if you just want premium. But again, the sales are out there and Trendspider has their sales. So again, I'm going to go over all of this. It's all on Linktree, linktr.ee/daily stock pick. You got Trendspider, you got Seeking. The bundle is second. Those top two, that's the Gary bundle. I mean, honestly, for about $1,000, you can get Trendspider and Seeking Alpha and Alpha Picks all in one this Black Friday. It's huge. We're going to go over a lot today. We're going to go over my portfolio over the last 3 years. How did I do over the last 3 years? Because I've had these tools for 3 years. And so I've done really, really well. Trendspider. We're going to go over some of the other strategies in Trendspider. Miniveri. I don't even know. CanSlim. Paid subscribers. I'm going to kind of go over some things that I've given paid subscribers over the years and some good things. Seeking Alpha Pro, I'll explain to you because I got a letter from the CEO of Seeking Alpha yesterday. How many stocks are in your portfolio? We will kind of look at that because you do need to know going into the end of the year, how much time, how much energy, many decisions are you going to buy the dip? That's the next one. And then we'll go over earnings. That stay tuned for, because at the end of this, there is a great little process that I went through, asking Sidekick and then asking Seek Alpha AI to look at AMAT earnings tomorrow. It came up with some interesting things. I thought that was a great little tool. But let's go over this. Again, just over $1,000, you get Trendspider. So Trendspider, say you go over here and it's not within your budget to pay $64 a month, which I think is crazy. Skip Chipotle a couple of days a week and it's to $64 a month. But you want the $41 a month. Okay, that's just about $500-600, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it gets you all the charts, all the stuff. You save so much time. And if you don't like charts and you don't want charts, again, the second part of this bundle is Seeking Alpha Premium and Alpha Picks, where you can do your own research and you get Alpha Picks portfolio. It provides you a pick on the 1st and a pick on the 15th. And I have made this $574 at least 6 times this year when I have traded live on the day that Alpha Picks actually makes their pick. We'll go over that in a little bit. But on the flip side, I don't want to say, hey, you're going to make this money, because maybe you won't. Maybe you won't. But here's what I can almost certainly guarantee you. Say the market takes a dive, okay? I've been going over in Trendspider the weekly and monthly charts, how these indicators indicate we may need a stock slide. If a stock that you own turns to a sell in the quant, okay, say you own the trading desk and you own, my dad owns the trading desk. I have begged him to sell this one because it's been a sell since it was it's got there around $70. It moved to a sell. Again, you're down at $44. So say a stock that you own moves to a sell, and say on the 4-hour algorithm, okay, we can look at the 4-hour algorithm, which I use constantly. And you can see we haven't had a winning trade in this one. So why do I want to stay in it? Again, if we have a downturn in the market, between those two tools, Trendspider with the 4-hour algorithm, and then the bundle here with Seeking Alpha Premium and Alpha Picks, where you can add Alpha Picks, add to your winners and cut your losers, Again, I can't guarantee that a crash is, that when a crash is coming. I can guarantee you that an absolute crash is coming. Do you have the tools to help you identify when to pull back some of your investments, when to pull some risk off the market? Plus, these things save me so much time. I don't need to spend hours researching. And in fact, I was having my coffee this morning, 7 a.m. Trendspider emailed me my scans. I don't even need to do anything. They save me time. So between, again, the bundle and Trendspider, pick your poison, whichever one you want. Just make sure you use my links because they get you the best offers. And in fact, if you don't use my link for Trendspider, you don't get the 4-hour algorithm. So let's go over kind of, I've had these tools. I think I've had both of them since 2022. And so 3 years in the market, how have I done? This is an actual screenshot of my fidelity, okay? I don't need to prove it to you. I had some douchebag ask me, what's the beta? I didn't even know what fucking beta was. I don't have the time to figure out the beta on my portfolio. Not something I'm interested in. This is just a screenshot. My return over the last 3 years from November 11, 2022 to November 10th, 2025, 88%. Now, the S&P is up 80%. Is that 8% worth the $1,000 that I spend on these tools? Absolutely. To me, yeah. You can look. The S&P is actually the leader there, and I'm beating it by 8%. Now, is that a great? There is a big difference between managing a trading position, okay, and managing a multi-million-dollar portfolio. That's it. I started as an affiliate with Seeking Alpha and Trendspider 3 years ago. I had a history of beating the S&P for over 40 years, 25 years for sure, because I've kept track records there. The tools made me a much better investor and trader. And I think that's the key. It's not about buy this stock now service that you can pay for from some people that may get you 100% in this market. It's about making sure you're comfortable with what you own because we all have different risk tolerances. So again, that's the difference. One of the biggest reasons I have that outperformance is Trendspider. It's my 4-hour algorithm. I tell you, since 2020, since I built that thing, it's really been a game changer. And you can get Trendspider. Let me see. What was one thing? Oh, CanSlim. So CanSlim is one of the tools in Trendspider. This is one of the strategies in Trendspider. My 4-hour algorithm isn't the only one. It works for me. But there are so many other tools in Trendspider. And CanSlim just came up with Robinhood. It came up with LRCX. It came up with Monster Energy. It came up with INCY. It came up with, by the way, just insider information. This is one that I bought right before that big pump. Las Vegas Sands, IBKR. Again, you can learn more about CanSlim right there. Or even the Minervini strategy. And you may not know who Mark Minervini is. Mark Minervini is an accomplished stock trader, 2-time U.S. investing champion, author of several books on investing. Key aspects of this, his work: SEPA methodology. I don't even know what that is. Market timing, risk management, 4-stage price cycle, books, and other ventures. I just Googled that. I put it into Perplexity. I'll put it in the newsletter. But again, you can get this strategy and import it. It's a proven strategy. And look, it's free. Put it into your Trendspider setup. So you can get a 2-week trial of Trendspider for $5. Put in the Minervini strategy. Or go over to the Trendspider store. To Trendspider store, you can see on sale 53, strategy 74, scanners 171, indicators 319. You can get these by just downloading them into your setup. So again, if you're not ready to make a commitment for a year, try out some of these strategies. Shoot, here's the thing. and say you get to these things and you don't even know what they are, that's where this comes into play. Okay, you get 52 trainings per year here on the left for $64. Here's the calculation. Okay, 64 times 12. Go and figure that out, and then divide that by 52. That's how much you're paying for the training classes alone. Then you get Trendspider for free, and you can go over to this store and say, okay, help me find a strategy that works for a stock that I like. And if you don't have any specific questions or want something special done, I'll be live with Mike tomorrow on their Trendspider. Join me live at 3:45. Ask questions. Say, hey, I want to find out this strategy. Can you help me? Because we're going to be going over applied materials tomorrow. And at the end of this, I'm going to go over applied materials and show you exactly what Trendspider and Seeking Alpha can do. Okay? And we got the biggest movers today. AMD is one. I've been saying for the last few weeks, maybe a month since I bought AMD, I think AMD outpaces NVIDIA. We saw NVIDIA down yesterday. AMD had their investor day. And Lisa Su made some news. She sees the AI data market reaching $1 trillion by 2030, double AMD's prior estimate. AMD expects gross profit margins of 55 to 58%. It's up 6% in pre-market. Again, up 6% in pre-market. Well, Trendspider, they asked Sidekick to give them a analyst day, did not disappoint. Here's your list, 3 to 5 year targets. Revenue CAGR up 35%, data center $100 billion, custom chips, PC and gaming, market outlook, boom. Again, Sidekick, their AI tool, you could have asked it to analyze that, and boom. And what happened this morning? All of a sudden, Sidekick says, hey, we just got new updates. You can say, hey, give me any analyst updates from any stock in my watch list. Boom. What's the target for AMD? Rosenblatt, $300. Mizuho, $285. Evercore, $283. Morgan Stanley, $260. Let's go look at where AMD is trading. Well, if you had my 4-hour algorithm, you bought at 160, got you out with a 42% gain. I can tell you, as we start to move up, this starts to be support right there at 227. You can go into Sidekick and say, hey, find me support on this 4-hour algorithm. And it will find you support and resistance. Again, AMD, I think, outperforms. The CEO said the AI market is faster than anything we've seen before. I like AMD. And again, I use Seeking Alpha, and I go over here to charting, and I select metrics. And we're going to go to performance, and we're going to go to total return. And I want to know over the next year, does AMD outperform NVIDIA? And I constantly look at this. And we can look at it over the last month since I bought it. You bet. AMD is up 6%. NVIDIA is only up 1%. Okay. Over the last 5 days, NVIDIA has outperformed. But again, you go 6 months and look at AMD. You go year to date, look at AMD. You go 1 year, look at AMD. Again, a $4 trillion company versus AMD, which is $386 billion. Bottom line, I'm bullish on AMD, and it's a good thing. So I bought a stock yesterday. Okay, dailystockpick.substack.com. I kind of update the chat every now and then with stocks, but I bought a stock yesterday, and I put it into Savvy Trader. So paid newsletter subscribers get access to all my Savvy Trader trades. The reason I use Savvy Trader, there's no manipulation. I can't manipulate the price at all. And here's the trading portfolio. So you know, it's the 2025 trading portfolio. It's up 124% since it started. This was 2024. The S&P during that time's up 52%. You go over to Savvy Trader, you can go and look at it. But I put in yesterday the stock that I bought in there. How did I find the stock? I found it on Twitter. Not a paid tool. I didn't find it on Seeking Alpha. I've gone over it on this podcast many times. How do I evaluate if the stock is a trade or an investment? I use Seeking Alpha Premium. Again, the tool that I've told you to get. How did I know when to buy the stock? I used the 4-hour algorithm in Trendspider. I set an alert. Boom, it gave me an alert. I bought it. What's my upside and downside on the market? I've journaled it in my own journal. I don't tell you that, but I tell you to do it. That trade alone yesterday, had I sold it today, would have made me the yearly subscription of the newsletter for 5 years. Again, 5 years, if you're paying attention, 5 years of the paid newsletter would have paid for Trendspider and Seeking Alpha bundle. It would have paid for all of that. But it's risky. It is risky. And I also sold out. Remember, you don't have to be a paid subscriber or follow my trades, and don't get FOMO. Do not subscribe to my newsletter just because you have FOMO. I've talked about this stock before, the stock that I bought yesterday. Subscribe to support the podcast. It's a yearly subscription. I do think the amount is absolutely returnable just based on some of the stocks that I've suggested, like IREN, like WDC, STX in July. GLW and TLN are ones that I put in a portfolio that I will go over. I've given paid subscribers quite a bit this year. Also, look at this. I shared how I've beaten the Alpha Picks portfolio with my own personal Alpha Picks portfolio. Okay, I used their picks, but I add to the winners, and I cut the losers down to the holding percentage until they start to show winning. And yesterday, I got an alert on my largest holding, which is, I think, 16% of my Alpha Picks portfolio. It hit resistance. I brought it up on this podcast many times. So don't think you're going to get anything additional from, subscribing. You're supporting the podcast. But again, if you're interested in that kind of stuff and you have, I think it's $190 for the year, it makes sense. And later this year, I'm going to do a review of the 2025 predictions that I did. Okay. I did that back in December of last year, and I'll make them public. Just, I'll wait a couple of weeks or so. And the beat the S&P portfolio, this is what I told people. Hey, I will put together a portfolio that should beat the S&P. It was just, it's never guaranteed. Well, it's almost doubled the S&P since it came. The S&P during the time when I announced it, the S&P has been up 14%. Okay. This stock portfolio is up 22%. And by the way, I have done nothing. This is just sit and hold good companies for the year. This stock portfolio that you see in front of you, I have made one trade this year. One. No buying, no selling, just one buy. There has been no sales in this. So no work, you sit and chill. So again, do you need all these tools? No. Do you need my newsletter? No. But you do need the knowledge to set something like that up. And again, if you're not up 24% year to date in your portfolio, I can tell you my portfolio's not. I would have been far better having this portfolio. It's doing nothing. You're literally sitting there and you're beating the S&P. Will it do that long term? Probably not. You probably need to trade in and out of stuff. So I got a letter from Seeking Alpha's CEO yesterday about their AI model. Okay. I show this off sometimes, and I will show this off later. I don't know the difference between Seeking Alpha Pro and Seeking Alpha Premium. I will tell you, I think Premium is the sweet spot because Pro costs $1,900 even with the Black Friday sale. So he gives some great examples of why Seeking Alpha platform is better than a regular AI. Okay, I'll include the newsletter I'll include this letter in the newsletter if you're interested. But again, I want to point out, I know for a fact that a crash is coming, but I don't know when. And in the Roaring 20s, Benjamin Graham, turned $400,000 into $2.5 million. That's the 20s. Imagine $2.5 million in the 20s. After the crash, the $2.5 million turned to just $375,000. Okay. In his memoir, Graham wrote about how hubris was the cause of his losses. At 31, I was convinced that I knew it all, or at least I knew all I needed to know about making money in stocks and bonds, that I had Wall Street by the tail, that my future was as unlimited as my ambitions, that I was destined to enjoy great wealth and all the material pleasures that wealth could buy. I thought of owning a large yacht at a villa in Newport Racehorses. I was too young to realize I had caught a bad case of hubris. That's the market we're in today. And I don't think, again, I've lived through dot bomb. I traded through the 2008-2009 housing crisis. Hopefully, many of you survived COVID and were able to do that one. I can guarantee you, absolutely 100%, that a crash is coming. I can't tell you when. And when Michael Burry says me then, me now, oh well, it worked out, it will work out, he's telling you a crash will happen, and it will. He was years early. The market can last longer at a higher price than you can being out of the market. It's not about timing the market. It's about being in the market. So understand there will be a correction at some point. The discussion will revolve around when. Some big tech gainers in 2025 may be liquidated by big shareholders. Okay? Like crypto. Crypto focus stopped with Bitcoin, Ether, and other tokens. Crypto will go through cycles. And with huge gains, I think you're going to see a pullback at the beginning of 2026. Why? It's capital gains. It's, again, a strategy that every investor and portfolio manager uses. They wait until January to take their capital gains so they have money to invest next year. If you have to pay your capital gains in April, then you don't have the full year to actually invest that money and make money. So let me give you a couple of theses, okay, on a couple of big stocks. If you feel like AMD, NVIDIA, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, and others are spending way too much on AI, what about Apple? Okay, what about Apple? They're not spending the money on AI. They haven't spent a dime on AI. In fact, they lost all their talent on AI. They've been measured and they're at all-time highs. They closed at all-time highs yesterday. This is a stock that's not spending on AI. Will this stock be brought down if the market crashes? You bet it will. But we've seen with the hyperscalers that are sent, I mean, look at Meta. Meta's been taken down to the shed because they're spending on AI. Apple hit its highest closing price in history yesterday. And what do they do today? They launched these things. These things. I mean, they literally have launched knit iPhone pockets. And the price is $149 for your little sock pocket and $229 for the long pocket. Again, maybe these things become the hit of Christmas, and maybe like their wearables division, it becomes its own S&P top 5 company, because that's how big Apple is. And let me throw out another thesis for you on a widely held stock that got hit yesterday because SoftBank sold off their NVDA. Okay? Did they sell in a panic? No. SoftBank sold their NVIDIA stock. Why? Because they needed to buy more NVIDIA chips. They needed liquidity. So they were just looking and they said, we're going to sell off this. Why? They own ARM. Okay? They own a lot of competitors to NVIDIA. But they make no mistake, they are buying NVIDIA chips. So is NVIDIA a good buy at all-time highs with earnings still coming up? 4-hour algorithm got you out. Did I get out? No. I see that 183 providing support. Now, if it doesn't, and we get down to the 160s, and all of a sudden, AMD's growing at 50% instead of 80%, the thesis changes. But again, they're selling their stake to buy NVIDIA chips. Okay? Now, let's go over earnings, because there is some earnings coming up this week. We got Cisco tonight, which should be a good one. Serve Robotics, D-Local. You got Disney tomorrow morning. Is everybody sick of paying for Disney? Are YouTube subscribers, YouTube TV subscribers, are they fleeing to sign up for ESPN, the bundle? Maybe. You got Bitfarm and SBET. You got ONDS. Then you have NewScale. I will be going on tomorrow with Trendspider going over AMAT, Applied Materials. Let's take a look here in Earnings Hub. We can take a look at this. The earnings last time they reported $2.48. I'm sorry, they reported $2.35. They reported $2.48. So they beat, and they beat on revenue. Now they're expected this time $2.10. The revenue $6.68 billion. So it's actually down expectations. So I wanted to look at this, and I said, you know what? Let's go into Sidekick and let's look at this. And so you have a limited amount of Sidekick. I have 25 per month. I don't want to spend it on something that's not very useful. I have 25 examples per month. So I went to Perplexity Finance. And I literally said, I have Trendspider Sidekick AI, and I want a prompt to look at AMAT earnings tomorrow. Can you help me come up with a prompt that will allow Sidekick to look at the stock chart, the fundamentals, the past earnings reactions, and everything I need to know about tomorrow's earning risks and potential rewards? I literally just copy and pasted that into Sidekick. So let me give you a couple of key points that it brought up, okay? It goes over the daily technical analysis, and let's pull up AMAT right here because I want to show you this. If you look at the daily, okay, it says the daily uptrend established September low of 156. The stock rallied 54% since September, and it's now pulling back. Let's go and look at this. Yep, you see, under the 200-day, and it's shot back up. Key resistance, $241, which is a recent high. Resistance, remember, that's the top. Analyst targets, 250. You're trading at 230. And their target is 250. Is the risk worth the reward? Key support level, 223 to 225. That's the November low tested today, meaning yesterday. Consolidation zone, $209 to $210. So if it gets down there, it wants you to get out. I identified 213 as mine. Current position testing support at 228. After a 5.3% decline from the November 5th peak. Again, we're on the downturn. You don't have to be a genius to do this. This is simply asking Sidekick. Okay, the volume, recent days showing elevated volume, 6 to 9 million, above the 50-day average. Pattern, rising wedge, breakdown possibility, lower highs forming. Then it looked at the weekly chart. Okay, stock uptrend from August lows. And let's just put this over to weekly. Where's the August lows? Right there. See the August low right there? August 25th? Structure, higher lows pattern intact at 223. Again, that level of 223 is showing you what price. Candlestick pattern, bearish engulfing plus large red candle equals 5% drop. November 11th, doji indecision at support. It gives you the fundamental metrics. Okay, and again, this is all included in Trendspider, 25 messages per month with your subscription. And it goes over the past 4 quarters price reaction. 11% down the next day, 14% next session, sold off. Initial pop 169, then it faded. Price action around earnings, the key pattern. AMAT consistently beats estimates but sells off post earnings. Again, the best predictor of the future is the past. The last 2 quarters saw minus 11 and minus 14% drops the next session. Buy the dip. Price action around earnings. Pre-earnings typically rallies into the print. Did not happen this time. It's down 5% this week. Post-earnings, sharp sell-off despite the beats, likely on guidance concerns or China exposure. It goes over unusual options activity. It goes over the analyst ratings. It goes over major risk and headwinds. It goes over upside driver and catalyst. It goes over near-term catalyst. The guidance will be Taiwan Semi reported strong October revenue, positive for equipment demand. Risk reward assessment, bull case plus 15 to 20% to 265. You're trading at 230. That's the bull case. Base case, minus 5% to $217. It's bear case, minus 15%. You're going to set your upside, your downside. That's it. And it did it. Summary, AMAT heads into earnings with mixed technical setup. Strong uptrend from September, but recent breakdown from highs. Key risk, China exposure. And it goes over all the pattern. I thought you might find the post-earnings price action particularly interesting despite 8 consecutive beats. The stock sold off after Q4, Q3. Market appears to be pricing in China headwinds and cyclical peak concerns. That all came from one prompt. Now, am I investing in this knowing that there's a sell-off? No, let's look at the 4-hour algorithm, okay? 4-hour algorithm got you out right before earnings with a 44% gain. All of that adds up to be, is it worth the risk and reward? Not really. And so I went over and I just copy and pasted the exact same prompt into Seeking Alpha's AI. It didn't give me as much. Gave me great fundamentals, and that's what Seeking Alpha can do. Okay? So Trendspider mixed in the fundamentals with the chart. I like Sidekick a lot better than the AI from Seeking Alpha. Again, the two put together, it's priceless. Just priceless. Because we can go over here and we can type in AMAT. And we can see from a rating standpoint, it's a hold. Has it been a buy? No, it's been a hold this whole time. So it hasn't necessarily changed. You can see the valuation has actually gone down. Why? From 6 months ago? Well, 6 months ago, the stock it was down 37% and the valuation has gotten even worse from 6 months ago. The growth, it's about the same, a D plus versus a D. The profitability, the same. The momentum, it's been better. It's a B. Why? Because you're going up. Now the revisions are worse. They're actually taking it down from an earnings per share and a revenue. They're pricing in China. So with all of that in your mind, do you want to buy Applied Materials before earnings, or would you like to wait until after earnings when it's actually maybe down? Again, look at the weekly chart. We can just put a line here. When the MACD is at that level, what typically happens? It goes down. And this goes back to 2021. And we can put a line here on the RSI and say, hey, what happens when this is up this high? Typically, you're seeing pullbacks in the stock. So again, these tools are there to keep you out of making mistakes. It's not just there to make you money. It's there to try and evaluate your risk and return. So if you have any interest in these, I will tell you, these Black Friday sales will not last forever. They start today. Linktree is where you get them all. Trendspider, the top 2 links are where you want to go. Okay, the first one gets you Trendspider, and that tool is I just showed you the benefit of that tool. It is phenomenal. And then the second link here on Linktree, it takes you to the bundle deal. And I've shown you over the weeks or over months how the Seeking Alpha pick, how I scalp that one on the day and I make a ton of money on that one. And then I just pull it back as it starts to lose back to its holding percentage. So there you have it. Again, the tools are out there. This may be one big sale for you, one big show about sale. But I showed you also Hey, Apple's got a great thesis. AMD has a great thesis. And NVDA has a great thesis. So I brought up individual stocks. I also mentioned several stocks that I gave to paid members over this year. So if you have any questions, again, Linktree is a place to go. It's even got my email address. Sign up for the newsletter as well. The newsletter, this song says it, that you listen to every day. Sign up for the newsletter. Let us help you grow. It's just me. But again, the newsletter is free every day. You can get it every day for free, and it has tons and tons of material. So if you don't want to invest in the tools that I use, go and take my newsletter that's free and go and grab some of the stocks that I recommend and do your own analysis. Because I like Sidekick, I am staying away from applied materials today. And I'm going to bring this up to Mike on Thursday. Hey, Sidekick looked at this thing. So if you have any questions, hit me up. I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay, bye.
Every morning I wake up to the sound of the trading bell. My heart starts to pound. Daily stock pick trading podcast in my ears, guiding me through my hopes and fears. Tune in daily, don't miss a single show. Sign up for the newsletter, let us help you grow. Taking risks, making moves, seeking success. Together we'll conquer, no room for any less. Every morning I wake up to the sound of the trading bell. My heart starts to pound. Daily stock pick trading podcast in my ears, guiding me through my hopes and fears.